Hello Pretties, it's Angela. In today's video we're going to be making a rosary bracelet, and I'm going to be using some of these really pretty druzy beads. Now they are a larger size. I think they are probably about a 12 millimeter. Let me check that. Hold on just a second. Let's see. Yes, these are 12 millimeters, so they're kind of large. Typically I wouldn't use this big, but I really do like these beads and I think they're really beautiful. So I want to try to do it. I may have to do some adjustments over here, so that's why I haven't strung it completely. But what I'm going to be using today, like I said, are these really pretty druzy beads. And these actually came in the dollar bead box. No, I'm sorry, the curated bead box this month. This was my first month of getting the curated bead box, and I just fell in love with these beads. I think they're beautiful. So I'm going to be using those. You're going to need 11 beads. And typically, like I said, I would be using smaller beads and one larger bead, but I'm going to be using all the same size. So that's why I'm kind of breaking it up into, you have that, what would normally be your larger bead separated from your other 10. So I'm going to be using these bead caps, and these are really thin bead caps that you kind of conform to make them fit. You press them down on your bead to make them fit around your bead, and I just think it gives it a really ornate look. You can see how fancy it makes those beads, kind of dresses them up. So we're going to be using those, and then I'm going to be using some of these spacers that I had in my stash, just some little beaded spacers. And so that's what we're going to use. I have the Mary charm that I'm going to make into a pendant, and I have this cross charm that I'm also going to make into a pendant, and I'm going to dangle it from this barrel. At least I think that's my plan now, unless it's too long and then we'll have to adjust. So that is what I'm planning on doing. I have a few little head pins here, and I'm going to be using a 0.8 stretchy cord to make this bracelet because I don't want to add any extra length with a clasp. So let's see how this goes, because like I said, I have not pre-made this. I just started stringing it up, and I said let me go ahead and make the video with y'all instead of just doing it and showing y'all the finished results. So I put on a bead cap, one of the 12 millimeter beads, bead cap, and then I put on a spacer, the barrel, a spacer, and again I'm going to just repeat this pattern of putting a spacer. And you'll see what I'm talking about with these bead caps. So I'm going to take this bead cap and take my bead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that it's pushed down and just kind of shaped around that bead so that it'll sit nicely against that bead. I'm going to put on another bead cap, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to make sure that I hold my bead and push that bead cap down to form it around the bead. And once it's all strung on, it'll be nice and tight, but just to kind of help it form around that bead, it just helps to push them. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to do this pattern. And like I said, I'm just kind of winging this because they are bigger beads. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have to kind of adjust this section over here with the barrel kind of finding thing. So we'll see as we go along. But I had said that I wanted to make several different religious rosary pieces, and this is I did a pocket rosary. And those are nice to keep in your purse, keep in your pocket. I usually keep one in my scrub pocket at work. And I find myself from time to time just reaching in my pocket, and it makes me feel good to know that I have it with me. So that was the first type that you can do, and it is small. It's really great for gifts. And then this is the second type, which is a little bit larger. It's the bracelet type rosary. And eventually I will get into doing a full beaded rosary. That takes, you know, a little bit more time, so I want to make sure that I have the right beads that I want and things like that. But these are really good for gifts too. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to put them together, and you can kind of customize it to what you may feel the person likes, what type of beads, what color they like. And it's a personal thing. They can wear it with them, and something they can take easily, and it's a reminder. So, like I said, I also have those gorgeous, excuse me, religious medals that Heidi sent to me that I do want to make pieces with. And maybe not necessarily a rosary, but just have a bracelet that has those charms, maybe a charm bracelet. So I will be making a separate album for the religious pieces that I'm making on this channel, and so that you can find them easily and reference back to them if you're interested in that. So let me go ahead and keep working on this. I don't think I'm going to make y'all watch me string all of these, but let me go ahead and string these and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back and we're all strung up. And what I did was, I did have to adjust it slightly. I had a spacer on each side of this barrel bead, and so I took those off and put them here on the end. That way when we bring this around to tie it off, this bead is separated from the other 10. And then our metal and our cross will go on through the barrel bead. Okay, so this was, like I said, normally you would use maybe some smaller beads and then one large bead, but since they're all the same size, I'm going to go ahead and space it out with 2 spacers in between so it differentiates where the big bead should be. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and before I forget, before we tie it off, and whenever you're using stretchy cord, you want to give it a couple of good tugs to stretch it a little bit. That way it doesn't stretch out once you start wearing it so bad that it's going to droop on your wrist. Alright, so we want to make sure that we tie this off really tight. Let me get this going. I want to make sure I tie that really good and tight in between those beads. And I did bring my knot next to that spacer bead, so I'm going to try to hide my knot inside that spacer bead. So I do have a pretty large hole. I'm going to keep on tying this off just a few times because we definitely don't want our bracelet to break. And if you want to, you can always put a little dot of the hypo cement, and I may do that right now. Get my tube of GS hypo cement. And let me go ahead and snip these ends off. Okay. And then let me get my, get my little tube. And the hardest part about using this is putting that little pin back in that hole. It's like, it takes, okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on my knot and try to get this back in that hole. Let's see. Oh gosh, it always gives me a fit because I can't see it. Almost at it. Okay, yay, I got it. Sometimes I'll sit there and struggle with it for 5 minutes before I get it back in there. It's like the glue's gonna get stuck and dry. Alright, so I want to make sure that I push that knot into the large hole of the bead and try to get it right there in the center of it. And I may have to keep going and maybe try to get it into, okay, I think it's hidden. Okay, so I'm going to leave it alone and let that dry. Now I'm going to go ahead and make, and it doesn't take too long to dry, but I want to go ahead and make my 2 charms, so to speak, on my head pins so that we can attach it to the barrel. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and put my metal, my Mary, and these I do have available in my Facebook group if you're interested in those. They're really nice. They're very detailed. Let me see if I can get that to focus. They're very beautiful, and they're double-sided. And I have 2 different sizes available in those. And I also do have the crosses available in the Facebook group as well. So I'm going to use my 1-step loop. I'm going to make a small loop. I don't want to add too much extra length dangling down. Alright, so that's one made, and then let me go ahead and do the cross. And I did use the larger of the two sizes that I have available for this bracelet because the beads were larger. I'm trying to get that to focus, okay. And then I'm going to do the cross. Now my cross, I just kept it a very simple, kind of like a hammered metal cross. Very simplistic, but very beautiful. Alright, where did my... Okay. So now I'm going to try and decide if I want to attach that with the jump ring or if I want to attach it straight onto there. Let me try it with the jump ring. I'll grab a jump ring out of here. Oh, I had my silver jump rings. Where are they at? Here we go. Alright, let me open this up and get a jump ring out. These little containers are so hard to open sometimes. Alright. Here we go. And somebody had asked me about the jump ring tools. I do have some available on my Facebook group as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Let's see. I hope this jump ring fits through here. I may not have it open enough, or maybe my pliers are in the way. Let me open it up just a little bit more. Yeah, that was the problem. Okay, so then I'm going to add my cross and my Mary charm. And I'm going to close that back up. Sorry, I was off camera for that. I just added my charms and I'm closing it back up. Make sure it's closed really good. And yeah, that's really pretty. So you just have the cross and the Mary. And that's the finished bracelet. Let me move some of this out of the way. Let me take the jump ring tool off my hand. And let me slide that on. So this is really, I'm very pleased with how this came out. Now my bead caps, of course, you know, they're a little temperamental because, like I said, they have to fit to the bead. But okay, so you just have to I just had to fix it when I put it on. Once it's on, it's fine. And I have my charms dangling down. And so this is what would be considered my main bead. And then I have my 10 beads going around it. Now I will, in the description box below, I will link, if you're interested, on how to say the prayer bracelet rosary. So I'll put the directions for that in the description box below if you're interested. You can look that up. You can also Google it. That's what I did. But it gives a brief description on how to say the prayer, how to say the rosary bracelet. So let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can kind of see this a little bit better. And that's it. That's our rosary bracelet. I think it came out super pretty. I really am loving the beads. I love the charms. And I hope that you like this video. If you did enjoy the video and enjoy the tutorial on this rosary bracelet, please give me a thumbs up. Click on subscribe. Click on the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video to YouTube. And I hope to see you next time, guys. I hope y'all have a great day. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.